Hello, my friend, and welcome. If you're an international student looking to study in Australia in 2025, this video is a must-watch for you today. I'm going to give you a quick recap that you need to be aware of about the 9 major changes that happened in 2024, which have affected international students. I'm also going to share with you the 3 areas that the Australian government is proposing for 2025. And finally, I'll provide you with 10 recommendations that can help you in successfully obtaining a student visa in 2025 and beyond. So let's get started. So here are the 9 changes that occurred in 2024. The first one was the visa caps and prioritisation. So first of all, the Australian government wanted to try to reduce the number of international students in Australia. So they introduced a cap. Now, this was not successful by government, but they did manage to put in a prioritisation, which meant that when students are applying for institutions for next year, there will only be a limited number of spots available depending on how many international students that institution has already accepted. So, for example, if an institution has 100 students that they can accept in 2025 and they have 80, that means they only have about 20 that are allowed to be enrolled for that year. And as they get to that 80% mark, what will happen is the government will slow down on the visa processing, which could take longer. So you need to be aware of these changes for 2025. The second one is the post-study work rights and age restrictions. So the challenge here was that the Australian government on the 1st of July 2024 made a change to the age limit for post-study work right visas, which is the subclass 485. So this was reduced to the 35 years of age. However, for graduates and research programs where you're undertaking a PhD or master's by research, the age limit still remained at 50 years of age. The third one was proof of financial capacity. So what happened here is that on the 10th of May in 2024, international students who applied for a student visa were required to show that they had a minimum of $29,710 in savings to cover annual living costs. This increase ensured that students had sufficient financial support to cover their living expenses and tuition fees while studying in Australia. The fourth change that the Australian government made was healthcare coverage. The Overseas Student Health Cover, or OSHC, was expanded to include more comprehensive coverage. This ensured that international students had better access to necessary medical services during their stay in Australia. So this was a positive change. The fifth one was enhanced student support services. Universities and educational institutions increased funding for student support services. This included mental health support, academic assistance, and career counselling to help international students adjust and succeed in their studies. So that was another positive change that had occurred. The sixth one was environmental initiatives. So, educational institutions in Australia had launched new initiatives to promote sustainability and environmental awareness. These initiatives include new courses and research opportunities in environmental science and sustainability. Another great change. So the next major change was the English language requirements. So from March 23rd, 2024, the minimum English language test score for student visas had increased from IELTS score of 5.5 to 6. So this impacted students who are looking to apply for vocational education and training and university as well. But if you are looking to apply for a intensive English course, the score actually increased from 4.5 to 5 as direct entry. So that was another big change. The other change also that occurred was if you were a temporary graduate visa on a 485 visa and you were looking to move into that area so you can study after you finish your qualification, That English score increased from 6 to IELTS 6.5. So this was a significant change for 2024. The next major change was higher visa refusal rates. In 2024, there was a notable increase in visa refusal rates for student visas. Almost 1 in 5 study visa applicants were refused in the first half of the financial year, a higher rate than in the past 3 years. This increase was due to stricter immigration policies aimed at ensuring only genuine students are granted visas. Now, this not only affected Australia, but it also affected other English speaking countries such as Canada, the US, and the UK. So it wasn't just in Australia, but it was something that was really impactful across all English speaking countries. The ninth change that occurred was the genuine student requirements. On March 23rd, 2024, the genuine temporary entrant or GTE requirement was replaced with the genuine student or GS requirements. The GS requirements involves a set of targeted questions within the student visa application. These questions help the Department of Home Affairs assess if the applicant is a genuine student. The questions cover details about your current circumstances, reason for choosing your course in Australia, and how you will benefit from your studies. As you can see, in 2024, there are a lot of changes that affected international students and institutions alike. So, what's going to happen in 2025 and beyond? It's important to be aware of what the government is thinking about ahead of 2025. The Australian government is proposing several changes that could impact international students. These include the National Planning Level, or NPL. The government is considering implementing a national planning level for 2025, which could cap the number of new international students at 27,000. This cap includes both higher education and vocational education courses. The aim is to manage the growth of international student numbers while maintaining the high quality of education. This impacts you as there are fewer spaces, but also increases the cost of the course that you are thinking of studying in. So, if you're thinking that you might be able to find a cheap course in 2025, I would not expect you to do that. So, if you're short on funds, it's really important to think about can you really afford to study in Australia in 2025? The second point there is enhancing quality assurance. So there will be a stronger focus on quality assurance in education providers. This includes stricter accreditation processes and regular audits to ensure the institutions meet high standards of education and student support. Student applications will be looked at closer as well. It's really important to note here that institutions will be more picky on who they accept so as not to fail the government compliance requirements, because this could lead to an institution closing down or staying open. The third area is increased support for regional study. The purpose of this is to encourage students to study in regional areas. The government is proposing additional incentives such as scholarships and extended post study work rights for those who choose to study outside the major cities. This will also help to reduce the pressure on city infrastructure. It's really important to note that the challenge of studying in regional areas is the reduced amount of services and jobs available to you. So you'll need to think carefully about this if that is something that you're looking to do. Now, just taking a quick pause out of today's video, I wanted to ask you, are you unsure about your career or do you feel stuck? If that is the case, discover your path to success with my new book, Blueprint for Career Success. Packed with practical tips and real life examples, this 12-step guide will help you achieve your career goals at your own pace and at the fraction of the cost of a career coach. So get your copy today on Amazon in either ebook or paperback format. The links are in the description below, so let's get back to the video. So what can you do to increase your chances of successfully obtaining a student visa in 2025? Here are 10 recommendations for you to consider. Number 1, Choosing a high demand field. So consider enrolling in high demand fields like STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And don't forget healthcare as well. These areas offer great career prospects and are highly sought after by employers in Australia. Number two, select reputable institutions. Opt for well established and reputable institutions that have strong support services for international students. So think about the universities and the vocational institutions that you select. Make sure that they are reputable. So that way, you know that you're getting a high standard of education and that you're getting excellent student support at the same time. Number three, prepare financially. Ensure you have the required financial capacity to cover your living expenses and tuition fees. So, having a minimum of $29,710 in savings is essential to meet the new financial requirements. But don't forget that that is just for your cost of living. You need to consider your cost of your course as well. And also, another tip here is think about how you're going to make sure that you don't run out of money while you're in Australia as well and not get yourself into financial hardship. Number four, improving your English skills. So think about how you can improve and work on your English language skills to meet the higher test score requirements. Consider taking additional language courses if needed to ensure you meet the minimum score requirements. So this could be maybe looking at taking an English program before you go into your vocational course or a higher degree program as well. But in all honesty, the way that the international student market is in Australia at the moment, I would probably recommend that you stick to undertaking some form of bachelor's course or a postgraduate course. Now, the issue here is the cost of that particular type of program is going to be much more expensive than trying to undertake a vocational course. If you are looking at undertaking a vocational course, I strongly recommend using the public sector, such as a TAFE here in Australia. Even though there are a number of fantastic private institutions, I feel that the Australian government is a little biased against private institutions at the moment. Number five, be genuine in your application. So when applying for your visa, be honest and thorough in your responses to the genuine student requirements questions. Clearly explain your reasons for choosing your course and how it will benefit your future career. Number six, consider your age. If you are over the age of 30, be aware that there is a higher chance of a visa refusal. Ensure your application is strong and clearly demonstrate your genuine intent to study. If you are over 30 years of age, I do not recommend that you look to study a vocational program. I suggest that you look for university or a postgraduate course instead. Number seven, country of origin. If you are from a level three country, there is a high chance of a visa refusal, and some institutions may not accept your application at all. So make sure you choose institutions that have a good track record of accepting students from your particular country. As an international education agent, I can assist you with this. Number eight, vocational education and training, or VET for short. Now, I understand that VET is popular and it is a very hands-on type of course. But if you are looking at enrolling into VET, be aware that there is a high chance of a visa refusal. So ensure your application is well prepared and meets all the requirements. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are going to apply for a VET program, look for a public institution like a TAFE because this is owned by the government. And even though there still is a high chance of a refusal rate, your chances improve a little bit better because it is a public institution owned by the Australian government. And the priority level is a little better when it comes to visa processing as well. Number nine, accurate and completed documentation. Ensure that all documentation is double and triple checked before submission. Otherwise, this could lead to delays and refusal because of accidental mistakes in your application process. And finally, number 10, visa assistance. I strongly recommend that you engage with a migration agent to complete your visa application because chances are that you may make an innocent mistake that could lead to a visa refusal. So, my friend, what did you get out of today's video? Were there any surprises there? Are you still considering in studying in Australia? Do you think it's still worth it? Please comment below as I'm really interested to see what your thoughts are about this. But if after watching this video you're still keen to study in Australia in 2025 and need help in applying for an institution, check the description below for a booking link for a free consultation. This will give us a chance to see if we're a good fit to work together and for you to ask any other questions that you may have. And in the next video, I'm going to share with you why you should use a career coach to help you build a successful career.